Yo, we back at it, man. My bad. Yo, we had to take a quick little intermission, handle something real quick. But like I was saying, the way to find your true self is when you're disconnecting. Earlier, I was mentioning with the phone, putting the phone down, how you feel when you're alone, when you're not around anyone. I believe that helps you find that true essence, that true self, that voice within you. And when you hear that voice will tell you to naturally reach out to the masculine energy, if it's your feminine energy, if you're mostly feminine energy. It will call you and tell you to naturally reach out to the feminine energy if you're naturally masculine energy. So it's like we know these energies within us that naturally make us feel this way. But when we live in such a noisy era that's polluted with all of these not even just necessarily technologies, but all of these distractions, we still are the primitive cells. Our primitive cells know what to naturally do, like I mentioned earlier in the first, in part one, that our primitive cells are very simple. We survive, we reproduce, we do whatever it takes for us to get vitality to be able to eat and live and reproduce and live our lives. But then we have that primitive self, and it's kind of like the primitive versus the futuristic self. And the futuristic self comes with everything we hear now, that a woman needs to do this, a man needs to do that. And we have all these role reverses, and we put people in boxes and roles of what men and women need to do. Now, I can agree with a lot of things that the men say on the red pill side, or even some women that are pro red pill and say, hey, well, a man does this because a man is biologically built a certain way. I understand that. That is still more the primitive way that we came from, or why things are the way they are. But what I don't agree with, and which is the basis of my top of the dome topic, is the division that comes amongst us once we start putting ourselves over here versus over there, and the dividing that really shows like, okay, well, what are we left with? And we are all finding disconnection from the human contact. So it's like, well, if we're not mating and we're not in relationships and we're beefing, because you can't really have a good relationship if you're arguing. That happens. I'm fresh out of a relationship, and some of the reason was because of the arguments, and it's like, if you can't find a level to connect and contact, then how can you find harmony to want to build, to want to create a family, to want to even feel like you want to get intimate with your partner? Like I said, it doesn't have to, it's not about if it's a man with a man or a woman, if it's a woman with a woman. It's about the feminine energy and the masculine energy. Like I said earlier, you can have a man who has feminine energy, you can have a man who has masculine energy. Those are two genders that are the same, but one has one more than the other, and their roles fall in place with each other. That's still harmonious. So what I'm saying is that when you have that disconnect in them, we don't want to connect with each other, we're not being human. We're not doing what human beings do, and something I heard from Wayne Dyer, and it was very powerful. He was saying that we are human beings and not human doers, and all we ever hear is do. Like, a man thinks a woman needs to do this to say that she's a woman, or a man thinks a woman needs to do that to say that that's feminine energy, and a woman needs to feel like a man needs to do this to make him feel like he's masculine energy. It's all this do. Everybody's putting these roles. This is the task to determine that you are this, giving you meaning, and this is what makes you feel like you're this once you do this. But what about who we're becoming? What about the actions that we're making to determine who we're becoming? And that's the part I think we're missing out on. And that's what Wayne Dyer was saying, is that we're human beings. We're not human doers. The word isn't human doer, it's human being. So once we understand our essence and go back into ourselves, and we realize that we need each other. We need each other. Like, I love women. I love the feminine energy that comes from a woman. I love some of the masculine energy that comes from a woman. I love being a masculine man, but I also understand the feminine things about myself that is truly feminine energy, So that is the problem. Like, don't get finessed, y'all. And especially depending on how old you are. Don't get finessed by these movements on the male side or the female side. I didn't say masculine and feminine sides. I said on the male side or the female side. Choose what resonates with you the most. But live and thrive in the mentality to know that we need both sides. We need that connection. We need that whole feminine plus masculine energy to complete. That's just how it is. Everything moves in that beat. The birds, the bees, not even to sound cliche, but the birds and the bees, they move in that energy. It's called natural selection. I have several books in here. If y'all see down here, I'm an avid reader. That's why I say write till we're rich, write till we're wealthy, and read till we're rich, because I'm a reader and a writer. You will see I have several books on biology and genomes and genetics and biogenetics and epigenetics. You know, all the stuff that Bruce Lipton talks about, man. He's a very, very intelligent man. But if you see that the natural selection shows itself, that people don't even understand that it's not, that was something, I don't know if anybody heard about this, but it wasn't that the sperm was trying, it's like your sperm wasn't the lucky sperm that got the egg in the woman. It was actually the egg omits a chemical that picks and selects a certain sperm to draw that sperm in. So even on a microscopical level, even down to biologically showing how the egg chooses which sperm to pull it in to make a human being, to make a baby. So we can't go beyond this because we want to think about technology. And that's what I was saying earlier. We're in such an era to where it's like we have these reptilian brains, which is our first brain because it's similar to a reptile's brain, and then our newer brain, which is in the front. But then we have still those primitive ways of thinking with all this technology. We don't know what to do with it. If you compare us and the human being in the state of humanity in a mass scale, we still have technology that is too advanced for us. On a mass scale, you have the outliers, the small groups of people who are super enlightened and super intelligent at the same time. Because then you have some people who are just intelligent, but they're not enlightened. You know, and if y'all need me to speak in the comments about what that means, and I love it. I love to hear the comments. I would never be one of those people that get offended by comments. I don't care. Be like, fuck you, you this, you that. I don't care. I come from the gutter. We come from the streets. Like, none of that will ever offend me. You know what I'm saying? So, and not even talking about some like super hard guy background, not even saying that, but it's like, if you understand how ancient humanity is, then you won't get offended by nothing because you know this is human nature. So I would love to hear people's views on that whole aspect and that side of what y'all feel, from just being primitive to being old, and being able to say like, well, how's our minds and how are we thinking? But not to run off on a tangent, y'all, because I can go for days on that, but like that's the difference. That's why I'm so pro, like, we need each other. Because we truly, in my mind, we're in an era right now where this technology is too much for us. And you can tell by how people are acting about it, because people are forgetting where they really come from. Because of the access that they have to all this other stuff. And it's like, well, I can connect with this. So if you know about economics, you know about opportunity costs. If you connecting with this, it's going to be less of a chance where you can connect with that simultaneously, and both things get equal amounts of attention. So we're choosing this over that. We're choosing being by myself and fighting biology and fighting natural selection and fighting who we are for the sake of what? For the sake of a thing that you just tap and doesn't have any energy and life in it. So we need each other. Ladies, we need you. Feminine energy, we need you. Men, we need you. Masculine energy, we need you. Keyword we. You know, what do y'all think is going to be at the end of this? Like, what's next? Like, I consider myself to be a self-proclaimed futurist. I spent a lot of time, you know, listening to Ray Kurzweil and all of the singularity and all of that stuff. And, you know, I get my opinions. I hear what they say, and they're facts. They're super professionals and get paid for it, but I've been studying them for years. And I consider myself to be a futurist. And what do you think? What do you think the world will be 10 years from now? And then people get surprised, like I said earlier, when they're like, oh man, AI is going to take over. It's like, well, we're not caring about ourselves. We're not caring about thriving and growing and involving the essence of a human being and involving and making sure that we do whatever it takes to stay together at all costs. No, like I said earlier, once upon a time, it was tribe versus tribe, land versus land, color versus color, race versus race. Now it's gender versus gender. Like, so what's next? If you look at our past trend and our forward trend and forward trajectory shows that there's more division, and what do we end up being? Like, shit, we end up being slaves. We just end up being slaves to what? It's not even just a race slave. We're slaves to machines. And then you look at all these freaking crazy sci-fi movies and you be all blown like, oh my God, that could never happen. It's like, look at it. Like, open your eyes and look what's going on. So yes, men, women, divine masculine meets divine feminine. This is part 2, Words with Waters. Audio engagement, Words by Waters. We're writing until we're wealthy. We're reading until we're rich. This was my spiel. Please, please, please do not get fooled by the red pill movement. Watch the videos, take your take from it, but don't let it program you. Do not let it program you. Have a mind of your own, please. You know, understand where we're coming from, understanding that the true statement of we are stronger together really means something. And it was crazy, man. I was like thinking one day, and I'll wrap it up, y'all, I promise. I was thinking some time ago, I was like, you know what? That Black Lives Matter stuff is, it is what it is. That's gonna be a whole nother video. It is what it is. And then Kanye came out with the White Lives Matter. But I was thinking, this was probably about 4 years ago. I was like, you know what? One day, I'm gonna come up with a shirt that says Human Lives Matter. It might be like 2035 when I make it. Maybe we can look back at it together, y'all. Because I think AI is gonna be that advanced and have that much control over us to where people are gonna be like, yeah, we're still gonna be cutthroat because we're gonna be surviving. And survival of the fittest, how it's always been. And we're just freaking animals if you really think about it. We're very barbaric as a human race. But we're gonna be like, human lives matter, because we're gonna be looking at our life and being like, dang, like human lives matter. Like we don't have any jobs, the robots, AI has everything. There's like, we're not gonna find we're not gonna find a purpose in the place of the same place we created in. We're gonna become lost in the same maze that we created. So that was just a little thought I had about human lives matter. I need to tap this out. But yeah, I'm going, y'all. I appreciate the love. Tell me what y'all think in the comments, please. I love to hear it. Not just because I'm like, please, I gotta find somebody to talk to, but like, I just want to hear it. I love to hear people's views. I like to listen more than I like to talk. That's why the majority of my stuff is gonna be brief. But yeah, man, another one. Words with Waters. Write until you're wealthy, read until you're rich. Audio engagement, and remember to like, subscribe, follow, comment, share, all of that stuff, y'all. Remember to write your world into existence. Thank you.